What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. This is Games People Play, Season 1, Episode 9. So, we start this episode off, remember we left off with Mia running out of that foundation event. She runs home, and of course there's somebody banging at her door. She thinks it's them, but it ends up being Terrence. And I'm thinking to myself, girl, if they want to find you, they know where you live. Like, I'm sure they didn't probably even chase you, because if they know where you live, okay? So, then her and Terrence get to talking, and Terrence was like, well, what do you want to do? Like, basically, you busted, I'm busted. What do you want to do? And she was like, I don't know. Like, I'm really scared. And he was like, yeah, you need to be, like, this is serious. So she said, well, I'm gonna do what I should have done all along. And she ends up calling, I think his name was Ramus, the guy that killed Eric, that she thinks is his, she thinks is an ally. She calls him and says, I got some stuff I need to tell you. He was like, well, let's do breakfast in the morning. She's like, okay. So then we see Eden and King Marcus, in her office, and it's negotiation time. It's time for him to renegotiate his contract, and he's like, look, I want to stay here. It's just a matter of what the numbers look like. And so she was like, well, what about 45 million? He was like, I hope you mean a year. Like, I've been carrying this team on my back. I'm taking them to the playoffs. Like, what are you talking about? And she was like, we're not in the playoffs yet. He said, whatever. Like, the other team needs to lose, and they ain't won a game all year. Like, I know we're going to beat them. I mean, it was like one of those situations where the other team had to lose for them to get in, kind of thing. And the team that needed to lose was basically like a bad team, so he wasn't even worried about it. So they kind of. She says, well, I guess you're right. If we get in the playoffs, then I guess you could probably name your price. So then, she says, well, what about coming to the house for brunch? Sunday. I want you to meet my dad. And he was like, I ain't trying to do no heavy negotiations, without my lawyer or whatever. And she was like, no, it's not about business. It's about pleasure. Like, I want you to meet my dad. I want him to know the guy that has stolen my heart, right? And he was like, all right, I can do that. So later on in the episode, we see him with his therapist. And he's telling the therapist that he's not in love with Eden, but she brings some peace. He said, basically, what he's saying is love is for the birds, okay? Eden brings me peace. I like spending time with Eden. I like the peace that she brings me. I spent a long time in a marriage where, I was always lying to cover up the lie, and I just don't want that anymore. And he was like, I'm over Vanessa. I just want my daughter. Like, I just need my daughter in my life, because I don't even care about her anymore, right? So, and it was just, and she said, well, that sounds like love to me. And he was like, nah, it's not love. It's peace. Like, I think he's little, shell shocked of the word love, right? So then we see Kareem and his daddy. And, they smoking cigars, chilling or whatever. And he basically asked Kareem for the money. He's like, listen, I got this hospital bill. I can't pay it. I'm trying to get things right with your mama, but I can't do nothing if I owe this money. He was like, you still got the money, the money they've been carrying around all season. And he was like, well, I got to talk to, Quita about it. And he was like, oh, you got to talk to her? Like, she got you that strung out? Like, that's your money? He was like, no, that's our money, and I need to talk to her about it. But he tries to, like, guilt him into giving him the money. But he tells him, look, I got to talk to my girl. And let me go ahead and just knock them out the way. So he talks to her about it, and she's like, hell no. She's like, you're no good daddy who only been in your life for 5 minutes. You about to give him all this money. And she said, and I don't even believe that he owed his money. Like, I think he's scamming you. And he was like, he's not scamming me. Like, he wouldn't do that. She was like, so she ends up going down to the hospital and finding out that the bill was paid in full, right? So he is scamming him. So she went back to him and was like, listen, I'm sorry. I hate to be the one to tell you this, but listen, the bill is paid. He got amnesty, whatever happened, but the bill is paid. He don't owe this money. He's scamming you. So Kareem ends up confronting him, and he was like, listen, I thought you really wanted to be in my life. I thought you really were trying to be a father. But if it's about the money, then take the damn money. He said, but let me tell you something. If you take this money, then that's it. Me and you are done. You know he took the money, right? And so of course, fiance was in her feelings about it. Um, but he was like, listen, if you want to be mad at me, be mad at me, but it is what it is. It's a done deal now. He was like, I know you wanted a big wedding, and things are gonna be tight for me. Like, he had that job working for the season, but the season's over, and he if they bring him back next season, he's like, things about to be real tight for me for the next, for a minute. And I mean, if you gonna ride with me or if you gonna leave me now. And she was like, what you mean leave you? Like, I would marry you at the courthouse. He was like, for real? She was like, for real. So they supposed to be going to get married to the courthouse. So yeah for them. Now, MJ and Miss Golden Goddess meet up, and basically, she's telling him maybe the foundation did set me up. Maybe the reason why I got this job and this apartment and all these great things have been happening was to shut me up about Jason. And MJ was like, whatever, like, you earned that. You got all of that because you worked hard and you earned it. Don't let nobody take it away from you. If people want to talk, people are going to always talk. Like, that's what it is. And he was like, look at me, like, I'm blowing up on, I'm becoming an influencer and I'm blowing up. And I know people got, people have things to say, but I'm not going to let nobody question it. Like, it is what it is and I'm going to enjoy it. So she was like, I guess you're right. So then they talked about Mia and how Mia has become obsessed with the foundation. And he was like, yeah, I noticed that, she has become a little obsessed. I have noticed that. But basically they had a good conversation. So then old boy came by Mia's house, to talk to her about the foundation. And remember, he bought the coffee and she put creamer in the coffee, and whatever she put in there, it was basically detect the poison. And she was like, so you really did come here to kill me. Like, it's poison in this. And he was like, he was like, he's like, Eric was smart. Eric knew too much and you know too much too. So next thing you know, here come the police. Terrence is there. They done brought the police to arrest him. And he lets her know, it ain't over. Like, this ain't over. This ain't over, ma'am. Now, while this is going on, MJ invites Mia over. Well, no. While this is going on, child, they losing the playoffs, okay? So all them pipe dreams, them going to the playoffs, they the other team that was supposed to lose won, okay? And so that sort of like shattered their dreams. And of course, Marcus, that went his bargaining trip. Rome is sad, and that's where Kareem is sad about not having a job. So in the meantime, MJ invites Mia over to the house so they could kind of clear the air and talk. And it was an awkward conversation, but they both talked about the fact that they loved each other. And he said, I only joined the foundation to help you to get information. Like, I love you. You know that, I'm not going to let this come in between us. And she was like, I know. But, it's just so much. It's just so much. And he gives her a pair of Eric's glasses. And he also gives her a pair of Eric's pants. And while they're like, they were like some checkered, like, old daddy pants, chip falls out. And of course, as soon as they see the chip, I'm sure they realize that maybe Eric did leave some other evidence behind about the foundation. And so she says, well, no, I'll take it home and watch it. And he was like, you sure you don't want me to watch it now? And she was like, nah, I got it. And I mean, both of them are kind of giving each other that side eye, like, mm-hmm. So when she goes home to watch it, it's videotape footage. Now, how the hell Eric got it, we don't know. But it's videotape footage of Eden's daddy, a.k.a. the owner of the Vipers, with Jason basically telling him, listen, we've shut all the women up that you raped. Well, 2 women that we knew about. But basically, we know that there are others, okay? But we need you to keep it in your pants, right? Keep it in your pants, because at the end of the day, we can't keep covering up for you. We can't keep covering this up for you. And you see them hashing out their whole plans. And I'm like the Secretary General or Secretary of State is there. Like, all these high dignitaries are there. And so, of course, Mia's like, oh my goodness. And she tells Terrence about it, and none of the media will touch it. And Terrence was like, of course they're not. Like, this is some high level stuff. Like, nobody's really trying to put themselves on the limb like that. But what they also found out was that this was a whole plan to shut up all of Jason's victims and make him look like an angel, make them look horrible. While this is going on, though, Golden Goddess then went down to one of them to the rally about Jason, and she basically went public and stating that he assaulted her as well. So, baby, she go to work the next day. Her job is gone. She done been recasted. She go back to the apartment. The apartment manager tells her she got a week to get out because they got to rent out. And she was like, "What are you talking about? Like, my rent, my rent was paid for 2 years." He was like, "Well, that was based on an abbreviated rent, contingent on you having a job. And what we understand is that you don't have one." And she was like, "But I've got plenty of money." He was like, "Mm-mm. The rent you was paying was an abbreviated version. You can't, you can't afford the real rent." So her whole life is falling apart, right? Then we see, well, anyway, I'm sorry. Her whole life is falling apart. The media's turned against her. Like, they got rallies turning against her. All of this is going on. Now, MJ sees all of this, and MJ is like, "Oh, hell no." So MJ goes to his boyfriend, and he's like, "Listen, like, is there an exit plan about the foundation?" And the boyfriend was like, "What are you talking about? Like, I vouched for you because you said you was with it. There is no exit plan." He was like, "I'm cool. Like, I'm with it. I mean what I said, but I'm just wondering, like, what is the exit strategy? Like, they had to have been people in the past that have left the foundation." And he was like, "Well, you ain't got to worry about that because basically, if you try to leave, they're going to ruin your life and my life, and it ain't going to be nothing left. They're going to release that footage of your initiation." He was like, "They taped that?" He was like, "They taped everything." So, there's that. Now, while all of this is going on, Marcus goes over to Eden's house to meet her daddy and all that good stuff. And while he's there, he finds out that he sees his ex-maid. The one that ended up turning him in that he thought was being deported. And he's like, "What are you doing here?" And she was like, "Oh my goodness, I can't talk to you. I can't talk to you." He was like, "What you mean you can't talk to me? Like, what? You told me you were being deported. Like, what are you doing here?" And she was like, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I never meant to, I'm sorry that I had to tell on your wife, but, I had no choice." He was like, "You the one? Like, what did you tell them? Like, what did you tell the police?" So she won't talk to him. She leaves. So Marcus flips out. He goes back in there. He talking to Eden crazy. He talking to the owner crazy. And he was like, "You got to tell me what the hell is going on right now." But the one thing I appreciate is he says to Eden, "You may not know what's going on. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. But your daddy does. And he need to tell me what's going on right now." And, of course, the father plays innocent. Like, "What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. But I would do everything in my power to help you. Maria was recommended. She just started working for me a couple of months ago. She was recommended to my house, manager, and I don't know anything more about it. Like, I don't know about her working for you. I don't know anything." Now, the minute he says that, Eden's face scrunches up like. So I said, okay, that's a lie. But he basically tells Marcus, "Look, I will get in touch with all my contacts to try to get your daughter back. But understand that I didn't have anything to do with anything." And so Marcus is like, "Yeah, I don't really know what's going on here, but I know something here ain't right. But all right then." And Marcus ends up leaving. And so Eden is looking at her daddy like, "What is all this about?" And he was like, "What you mean?" She was like, "Maria been working for us for years. What's all this? She just started working for me mess. Like, what's that about?" And he was like, "Listen, you think, he was like, of course I had to find out what was going on with him. Like, the rumors about him was that he was a murderer and that his wife was a murderer and that he had mistresses. Like, of course I had to find out what was really going on. Of course I had to get the real story. And I don't apologize for it. And come to find out, he admitted to Eden that he was the one that got Vanessa out the country. And Eden is like, "Are you kidding me right now?" He said, "Listen, I'm going to need you to calm down because this man said he don't even love you." Again, he know what Marcus is saying to the therapist. Remember, that therapist was recommended from Eden. And so that means that Eden, whatever Eden been telling her therapist, is going back to her daddy too. He said, "You don't even know." He said, "You really have no idea of what you were birthed into. The fact that, all of the things that you get as a result of my connections. She was like, your little club, your little foundation club. He was like, you have no idea. So of course she's sitting there looking crazy. And I'm obviously looking at her daddy sideways now too. After he admitted, because first she thought that he had killed Vanessa, and he was like, "No, I ain't killed her. I just got out the country." I said, "Oh Lord." So that was pretty much the episode, y'all. The next episode is the end of the season. Sorry that this was so long and it was so staggered me getting this to y'all, but we're gonna finish it up. We got one more episode and we're gonna finish this up. But that was pretty much it for this episode. Yeah. All right. Talk to y'all later. Peace.